Well, YBs, we are back for another week. The censors didn't censor us. They didn't cancel the show. They wanted us to come back. You all have given us great feedback and love. So I'm back, Angie Hambrick, Associate Vice President of Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability, and Interim Director for the Center for Gender Equity. All the time.
Thank you. Yep, 20 minutes in. And I'm back, Dean of Inclusive Excellence at PLU, AM faculty member in Gender, Sexuality, and Race Studies.
What's your name?
My name is Jen Smith.
Who are you?
It's funny because I was laughing at you because you almost forgot your title, and I forgot my damn name. So there.
My title.
Hey, come on, this is trauma-informed care. Patience.
It is. We are back. We have a name. The name of our Thursday show is Diversity Deep Dive, or Triple D.
D.
3 cubes, 3 of them, not 2. So we're glad to be back, and we hope that y'all are tuning in again, and we hope to drop little nuggets along the way, and also to connect with you all virtually and to connect with each other virtually. So what you been doing this past week, Jennifer?
What have I been doing? I'm reading, actually, not for class, but reading for things that I just want to read that I haven't had time to read, which is great. And so what I've got right now is Judith Butler's newest book. It's theory, I know, titled The Force of Nonviolence. And it's really interesting in terms of how she's bringing in questions about how we define violence is related to how we define the self, and if we define the self as discrete, then that ignores how we're connected, and that has consequences for how we think about violence versus nonviolence as a movement. So I'm about maybe a third way through, and it's really cool. It's really interesting. So I'm enjoying it. I know. What you doing, Angie?
I am on Instagram Live and enjoying hanging out with D Nice at Club Quarantine.
I have heard about this.
Quarantine is where you need to be. Like, I stumbled on it a couple weeks ago when I think he did the second one, and I stumbled on it, and he, like, for like 9 straight hours, he is playing all the hits and all the cuts, and, like, allowing me to be 40 plus years old and everything that means. He plays some Jets, he plays some Janet Jackson. Shout out to every episode of Janet Jackson. He was playing some to James Brown, to Jay-Z. Like, he just plays everything, and it's all about how can we continue to be in community with each other, and how do we use music to soothe and to care for each other, which topic. YB.
Awesome.
You see that? That was masterful.
You're so smooth. You're so smooth. Smooth like that.
The topic this week for us is community and care, and talking about what does that look like? What does care really mean? Jennifer and I were in Tobago together for J-Term, and we did a video for the J-Term in Tobago program and the Semester Trinidad program. And the question that we were asked was, how do you define care and service? And we both remember that, and we had to define service and care.
Yeah.
And we were like, we know what it means, but when you have to kind of articulate it and say it out loud, it's like, it was a little difficult. So we're gonna redeem ourselves. And so,
Woo, I didn't know we were doing that today, so okay.
So again, we know what the mission statement is. Most of us know what the mission statement is. If you're a member of the PLU community, educating for lives for thoughtful inquiry, service, leadership, and care for others, their communities, and the earth. So Jen.
Nicely done, yeah.
I also had it in my notes just in case.
I can't do that. Like, I mean, again, I'm blaming it on COVID. My memory is bad. I could not recite that right now. I just couldn't. So yeah, good for you.
Thank you. I had it just in case, but I know. So what does that mean, Jennifer? What does care as the part of our mission statement really mean, especially now?
Yeah, I know. This is such a good question to think about now. And really, I mean, I think to think about always, care is, we make a lot of our mission of care at the university, because it's pretty unique for universities to have care embedded in their mission statement. So we make much of it, and I think for good reason. But one of my colleagues, I can't take credit for this, it was Dr. Kevin O'Brien, the Dean of Humanities, Citation as a Feminist Practice, Sarah Ahmed, was noting in a meeting the other day that while we make much of care, we don't always do a good job of using thoughtful inquiry into how we think about care. And so a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, there's such a community care, there is such a community of care at PLU because, you know, people always hold doors for you, and so on and so forth. Holding doors is not care. That's just being polite. Care is about making sure people have what they need to survive and thrive. And if we bring thoughtful inquiry into that question, then we can think about care in a much more, I think, socially connected and contextual way that brings in issues of inequity and diversity and systemic oppression into it. So that's kind of what I've been sort of meditating on in terms of what care looks like. And again, the present moment brings those elements into a much sort of harsher sight for us, I think, because of the current pandemic. What are you thinking about in terms of care right now?
I'm thinking about another faculty member in humanities, and this has been attributed to him. I've never heard him say this, but Dr. Samuel Torvin has said that the mission statement, the word thoughtful, was actually supposed to go with each part of the mission. So it's thoughtful inquiry, thoughtful service, thoughtful leadership, and thoughtful care. And that's not necessarily the way that most of us read it.
Right.
And so thinking about care as like this thoughtful practice, and us actually thinking about what it looks like, how it feels, and what it means. And I go back to thinking about care through a social justice lens, and thinking about social justice definitions about people feeling physically and psychologically safe and secure. Yeah. And so I think when we frame care in that way, like are these groups of people, is me and my community, are we as psychologically and physically safe as we can be? Then we're caring for each other, and the interconnectedness that kind of goes into that. Right. I think about care as kind of an equity act, not thinking about, the golden rule does not apply here for me. And thinking about sometimes thinking about when we say that we're caring for people, the motivation is in the reasons why for that. Is it really about me and to make me feel really good about myself that I've done something for someone? Is it because someone needed care and they told me that they needed some sort of care? Am I doing it for the greater good? And how can you mash all those things up together to create a more fuller picture of what care is and what care can be?
Yeah, and as you were speaking, it made me think about in terms of enacting care for another person, what's the dialogue that occurs to know what that care is? Mm-hmm. Not assuming what care is or thinking what care looks like for me. In terms of helping that person, what do they need and how do I know what they need? Is it because I'm assuming it? Is it because it's something I would want versus what they're saying? And so if we really think about what our students and faculty and staff from marginalized backgrounds need in order to be cared for, that's going to look a lot different than holding a door open or thinking about what we believe care to be in that instance. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot, and I've heard you say this quite a bit, but when we also think about care of, is the most marginalized in our community cared for, and defining what that means, then in turn, all of us are cared for, right? And so when we build systems and supports and things like that to support the most marginalized, they benefit, and we all do, not just because, we're more fully human, because that should be the end goal anyway, but because though it's meeting the needs of a group of folks who need it the most. Right. And so when we think about our systems and our care systems in that way, then we all benefit from that, and that's okay. Like, I want to benefit from care. I want to feel cared for.
Yep.
From my
care for you. Yeah. Well, and I think that kind of care is not a luxury, nor is it a special interest right now. It's a necessity. And I know that in times of precarity and squeezed finances, that kind of care can be seen as like a focus for a special interest. Mm-hmm. And that is not. That is foundational to who we are and how we behave. And it is necessary to sustain ourselves as a community, not simply to make a particular population feel cared for. Because like you were saying, I think if we do that, it sustains all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a great article that I used in my Women's and Gender Studies course in the fall about airline seats. And and about how they keep getting smaller and smaller and narrow, and the leg room keeps getting shorter and shorter, and how, you know, there's a certain group of folks who are blaming the people who can't fit in the seat. Like, you need to lose weight. You're too fat. You were too tall, which is so interesting to me. And you should have to pay extra to be comfortable, right? And when really what we should be challenging is, if the seat is a little bit bigger, then you know what? I benefit, you benefit, and this is the right thing to do to humanize people, right? To let people know that they matter. So it's not attacking the individual, it's attacking the system that is pitting us against each other, and also kind of shows, again, how care is interconnected. Like, it's not this individual thing, that it happens in community. Yeah. And the community is stronger because of it.
That's such a great metaphor, because I mean, we are fighting with people over an inch of space in an airplane. Like, people are shoving the back of an airplane seat, taking pictures of it, spitting on each other. That we are not the problem. It is the airlines.
And it benefits people who have more resources. So you can pay extra to get the leg room, to get the bigger seat on the plane first, to store your bag. Like, if you have the resources to be able to do that, then you can. So again, it privileges folks with the means and the access to do that, and that's seen as care. And that,
well, and it indicates who's more valuable. Yeah, exactly. All right, before we get too fired up, I want to move to our final segment here, which is honorable and dishonorable mentions. So who's on your honorable mention list this week, Angie?
I want to give a shout out and a hey, what's up, and you're dope to Cyree Rafai. Cyree is a PLU grad and a former employee at PLU. She worked in the Diversity Center in our sustainability program. And Cyree is like, this project that she has done with other artists in the community, with kind of painting murals on different storefronts, small businesses in Tacoma that have had to close because of the pandemic, and creating these beautiful, gorgeous murals on boarded storefronts. And I want to shout that out and give that an honorable mention, because there's joy still in all this, right? Like, we're disappointed, we're fearful, we're sad, we're angry, but there's still beauty and joy in a lot of places and in a lot of our lives. And she's bringing that to folks. In particular, I'm thinking about the mural she did at Stocklist down on not Sixth Avenue. What street is that?
It's
Pacific Avenue. Pacific Avenue. Yep. So shout out to you, Cyree. That's really dope. And to all the other artists who have participated in this program. What about you?
My honorable mention is also a PLU grad, Elizabeth Benj. She graduated in 2011. On Friday, she defended her dissertation in gender studies at Arizona State University. I'm going to say the title, I have to read it though, Sensing the State, Strategizing Survival, so you got to have a colon in there.
Absolutely.
Foster care and the ordering of space-time body-minds. And it builds off of her experience in foster care to reimagine and think about a system that's not disabling or traumatizing, which it is, through different kinds of arts. And so it was just amazing defense on Friday. She had about 35 people there, and she just freaking rocked it, and I cried through most of it because I'm just so proud of her. So yeah, Dr. Elizabeth Benj, shout out.
Come on, Dr. Benj, that's dope.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Yep. You'll be there soon, right, Angie? Yep.
Here you go. You gonna cry at mine too?
Maybe. Sure. Yeah, I cried when you gave birth, so I've already cried here too.
Different kind of birth. Yeah.
It's true. It is a kind of birth. All right. Who's on your dishonorable mention list? As
I mentioned before, I'm from Wisconsin. by way of Louisiana, so by way of the South. And one of the things that I always had growing up is speaking, like speaking culture. So if you see someone, especially another person of color, another Black person on the street, in a store, in a something, you just speak. And so I just grew up with a head nod or hey, how you doing, or a smile. And moving here, that culture isn't the same. And so so I'm not gonna say it's a dishonorable mention to all YBs in the Pacific Northwest. And that's not what I'm saying. 'Cause I'm one of those YBs now, I guess.
Yeah, you've got tacos and you have a North Face jacket.
Not tacos. I have keens and Danskos. Okay.
Sure, same thing. Okay. And you have Birkenstocks. Okay.
I'm wearing them now. So it's just been really hard for me to, as someone who's seen a part of community and part of my care is to speak to people, for people not to speak back. So all YBs out there, don't do it if you don't mean it. But if you see me and I say hi, at least don't look at me stupid or or surprised that, that I'm doing that. So speak to people, connect with people. If that small little piece of connection actually means something to somebody. So
yeah, nice. Yep. My dishonorable mention this week is folks who just keep plowing along like there is nothing going on. I am sick of hearing about people who have their damn meeting agendas exactly the same, their syllabus exactly the same, all the projects are just moving along like nothing's happening. It is a pandemic. Change what you're doing. Maybe you're grooving and that's fine. I guarantee there are other people who are not. How do you care for other people around you? Acting like nothing's happening is not care. Not mentioning once in your class that we are in the midst of a pandemic. People are doing that. That is not care. It's just like, come on. And those of you who, when I bring up pandemic or I bring up trauma in a meeting and roll your eyes at me, I see you. There. That is, yeah, come on now. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's the reality that we're living in. And
it is. And those folks who are least disrupted have generally the most privilege. So again,
that's another episode. Hold on to that.
It is. So, yeah.
All right, YBs. Again, shout out to our producer, Thomas Two Names, and all the folks in Markham. Jennifer, always a pleasure.
It is. It's always a pleasure. You know it is.
See y'all next week.
Bye. Take care.